Apex Legends has a very deep backstory, and every character has their origin story too. In this video, we take a deeper look at each character's story, piecing together clues left both in-game and online by the developers of Apex Legends. For this video, we'll specifically focus on canon lore, painting a better picture on the universe Respawn Entertainment has created, and we'll leave the theories for other videos. Right now, there are 11 legends in Apex Legends, so let's take a deeper look at who they are, where they come from, and what drives them to fight in the Apex games. Starting with Pathfinder. He may seem like a bundle of joy on the outside, but his story is actually quite tragic. Pathfinder is a Marvin unit. In the Apex Legends universe, these robots are highly intelligent, automated assistants that are often designed for manual labor or other routine tasks. Marvins can be kitted up to be suited for any task they are given, such as firefighting, or maybe in Pathfinder's case, to use zip lines and grapples to reach high heights for location scouting and surveying. Pathfinder woke up in a laboratory with no memory of how he got there. Without a creator or an owner, Pathfinder lacked a purpose, so he set out to try and find his creator. Pathfinder searched far and wide for his creator. However, in his attempts, he was often taken advantage of. Many people along his way offered to tell him secrets about his creator if Pathfinder worked for him. Not quite understanding that humans can lie or manipulate for their gain, Pathfinder of course said yes to every offer that came his way. After 341 days of searching, Pathfinder found himself employed at a shop called Electric Chicken. Someone of his incredible potential was essentially sat working in a fast food spot. However, his employer hinted that public houses are great spots to try and find information because they are often willing to speak freely, especially after a few drinks. After 725 days of searching and taking up offers to do work for dead-end clues, Pathfinder visited a public house called Paradise Lounge in Solace. It's there where he met Mirage, the first person after 725 days of searching that was genuinely nice to Pathfinder. Mirage said that people were taking advantage of his ignorance and he shouldn't be doing labor for free like he had been doing. Mirage suggested Pathfinder should join the Apex games. If he made it, then he'd have a chance to get in the spotlight and Pathfinder's creator may find him. Marvin units do show some capacity of simulated emotion and they can learn through their surroundings. Hopefully Pathfinder may learn soon enough that humans can't always be trusted. Let's just hope he can also learn some good news, not bad news, about his creator. Pathfinder was fortunately kitted out to be an excellent contender in the Apex games. Marvin units have never been so highly skilled at combat before or able to communicate like Pathfinder can, so there's certainly a lot of mystery behind his origins. Since meeting Mirage, Pathfinder has looked to Mirage as a sort of best friend, although Mirage has clearly become quite tired of his relentless happiness and optimism. But Pathfinder is well respected within the Apex games, with many adoring fans and admiration even from other contenders such as Gibraltar. Next, we have Bloodhound, everybody's favourite legend that nobody quite knows anything about. There's a lot of talk behind Bloodhound's origins from the fans of Apex games, but truthfully, nobody quite knows who Bloodhound is. Bloodhound has been rumoured to be fabulously wealthy, a murderer, a Goliath whisperer, and many other things. But truthfully, nobody knows Bloodhound's origins. But to Bloodhound, origins are everything, and they have stuck close to Earth's Old Norse gods to guide them. Despite having what seems to be a very spiritual connection with the universe, Bloodhound also uses technology to hunt and track opponents. Bloodhound is the perfect combination of old and new. We now know that Bloodhound wasn't the only of their kind. Bloodhound in the past fought alongside their companions that held the same Old Norse beliefs as them. There's still a lot of story to unfold. For example, we know that Bloodhound's bird is called Arta, but there is reference to a human character called Arta who is related to Johan and Brigitta, a couple that moved to Talos, World's Edge, before the whole incident that turned World's Edge into what we know today. Next, let's talk about Wraith. Once shrouded in mystery, we have been able to learn Wraith's backstory and her true origins through in-game events that happened in Season 2. Pay close attention because it's about to get pretty complex. two timelines are involved. So let's start with the current timeline. Wraith's real name is Renee Blasey. In the current timeline, she was a senior science pilot that had a fascination for the unknown. She believed strongly that other dimensions exist, and with her partner, Amir Singh, she wanted to prove it. Much to the disagreement of her lab partner, Renee Blasey received funding from a feared armed research division of the IMC called the Ares Division. For a backstory, the very same division worked to recreate an ancient alien world-destroying weapon called the Fold, which was planned to be used to wipe out entire militia planets. So yeah, they're pretty immoral. Either way, they took the funding, but nobody was willing to be the lab rat, so to speak. So Renee Blasey, knowing the risks, chose to be the lab rat. During the experimental process, the war sort of died out, but the experiment failed, and Renee Blasey woke up with no memory of who she was or what happened. With no memory and a set of strange new powers, she rebelled and escaped. For 12 years, she tried to search for the truth. Eventually, her search led her to King's Canyon. Now, she arrived at a time that wasn't too great for her. The Syndicate, the owners of the Apex games, were busy burning down the previous research labs created by the IMC on King's Canyon in preparation for setting up a new arena for the Apex games. But before the labs were burned down, Wraith managed to gain access to a laboratory computer system. Somehow, she had help from Crypto at this point to gain access to the computer's system. She found that Singh was the lead scientist on the project, but to her dismay, he was already dead. She wanted vengeance, so she used her powers to look through other dimensions to find him, and that's where she stumbled across a dimension where another version of herself was being experimented on. Wraith entered this dimension, attacked Amir Singh, and told the Wraith in that dimension to take her phase shift gear and go back through the portal to find herself in the original dimension. The Wraith we now know as Voidwalker Wraith was stuck in the other dimension without her phase shift gear, in a world where the IMC was still around and the war may have still been raging on. As for our dimension, the original one we started this story with, well, we now have a Wraith who is just as clueless about her past as the first Wraith was, but she entered our dimension with the Apex games being built all around her. So without any other leads, she joined the games in an attempt to learn more about her origin story. So us as the viewers now know who Wraith is, but the Wraith we play as doesn't truly know. For those curious, when Wraith uses her interdimensional portal, she can travel between dimensions. During that travel phase, she can look in at different dimensions and see herself. So when Wraith hears things like "you're being aimed at" in the game, this is actually from another Wraith peeking in through the interdimensional rift and warning her about what's to happen. Next, we have Gibraltar. First name Makoa, he is one of the few legends that still holds onto their ethical side and, for the most part, a sense of good. Gibraltar grew up with two parents volunteering for SARAS, the Search and Rescue Association of Solace. Later, Gibraltar got trapped in a mudslide whilst out riding his motorcycle with his boyfriend. Gibraltar's father came to the rescue, but he lost his arm in the process. Gibraltar learned a lot through this, and ever since he devoted his life to saving others. Gibraltar joined SARAS too, but after seeing many of his friends join the Apex games in an attempt to seek money and fame, Gibraltar joined too to protect his friends at all costs. Gibraltar may be a gentle giant, but he certainly has a rebellious side, and he'll do anything to keep his friends safe. Octane is up next. Known officially as Octavio Silva, he grew up on Samath, under the shadow of his father, the CEO of Silva Pharmaceuticals. Octavio was set to be the heir of the company, but he had no interest in it. Instead, he found enjoyment posting clips online of himself doing daredevil stunts and adrenaline-fueled activities. He built quite the following, but Octavio kept taking his antics even further. One day, Octane set to break the world gauntlet record. He saw that many people were using grenades in the simulation to break records, so he set about doing it himself. But there was one problem. Octane's craving for adrenaline meant that a simulation wasn't enough. He tried it in real life, and unsurprisingly, it caused a lot of damage to his legs. He managed to break the world record, and his fan base grew even further, but at a great cost. Octavio lay in hospital. The doctors told him his legs were irreparable. His long-lasting friend, Lifeline, a combat medic at the time, grew up on Samath with him. Octane saw that as an opportunity, and he guilted her into forging documents for Octane so that he could get new bionic legs. Octane's parents were rich, but due to his ridiculous behavior, they refused to help Octane, which is why he had to go to the route he took in the first place. Octane's life story plays a stark familiarity with the hardship many have to go through in the current day and age, where it's very possible to make a living with your passion by growing an online fan base, but it's a job that parents from a more traditional background may not yet fully truly understand. These days, Octane's craving for adrenaline has grown stronger, but he has since switched out the grenades for a jump pad. The stim he takes is quite literally a shot of adrenaline, so it's no surprise Octane is always so amped up. Whether it's an addiction to the stim or the high-paced action, Octane's dangerous lifestyle has caused him to take drastic measures to keep himself alive. Octane has a dialysis machine attached to his body that filters through all of the stim that he's constantly taking. The stim allows him to stay amped up for longer and recover from damaging wounds quickly. Great for creating great content online and for surviving in the Apex games, where he's now found a new platform to show off to his fans. So that's it for this episode of the Apex lore backstory, looking at the canon lore for all legends. Let me know which legends you'd like to see in the next episode. This may end up being a 2 or 3-parter series depending on how long it is. I feel like there's a lot of information to go through, and if I throw it all into one video, you may all fall asleep a little bit. So let me know, which legends would you most like to see next? I'm very interested in Crypto's story personally. Of course, there's Watson as well. Raj has quite a lot of backstory. If you'd like to see more theory-based story content, make sure to check out the other videos on my channel. And I also do a ton of guides, tips, and general coverage of news for Apex Legends, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And if you've been here for a while, you may want to check out my new merch. I'll put a link in the description which kind of covers all of that information too. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the comments. Cheerio!